painful smile onto his face. Sergeant Carter talks to me a lot like this. Aunt B, Gomer chimed in, trying to reassure her. There is no need for you to worry at all. He is just expressing himself. Oh, I see, Aunt B said slowly, her tone making it perfectly clear that she did not see it all, and she did not approve of what she thought she saw. Well, I will be waiting for you. Gomer. All right. Aunt B, Gomer waved. Aunt B cast one last, withering glare at Sergeant Carter before she finally left the barracks. Closing the door firmly behind her, Carter let out a long, ragged exhale. He slumped slightly, the fake smile melting off his face to reveal the pure exhaustion underneath. That woman, he muttered, shaking his head. That woman is going to be the death of my career. He turned back to Gomer, his anger rekindled but more focused now. Oh, what an awful mess. You've been in the Marines all this time, Pyle, and you pull this kind of boneheaded stunt? Having a civilian in the barracks? A civilian and a woman civilian? Pyle, I'm going to make sure you do not forget this day for the rest of your natural life. You're going to remember this for a long, long time when I get through with you. I am going to have you doing. What? Aunt B.E.A.'s voice rang out again. Excuse me. Carter choked, spinning around to find Aunt B standing in the doorway for a third time. Oh, Miss Taylor. Carter groaned softly. Are you sure everything is all right? Aunt B asked, her eyes darting between the two men. That Gomer is not in some kind of trouble? Because I will not stand for it, if he is. Really, it is nothing, madam, Carter pleaded, feeling a migraine begin to throb behind his eyes. You see, Private Pyle forgot a few of his duties, and I was just reminding him. Gentle reminders. My goodness, do you always remind people in that tone of voice? She scolded, wagging a finger at him. It sounded so incredibly rough and uncalled for. Really, Miss Taylor, Carter sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Why do you not just wait for this knucklehead? I mean, wait for Private Pyle in the recreation room? Please? Well, Aunt B hesitated, looking at Gomer for confirmation. Really, Aunt B, it is okay. Really it is, Gomer assured her, nodding vigorously. All right, Gomer, if you say so, she conceded reluctantly. She turned to leave, but muttered over her shoulder, that man is making such a mess of things. When the door closed for the final time, Carter did not yell. He did not scream. He simply pointed a trembling finger at the door, then pointed at Gomer, and finally pointed out the window toward the parade ground. Now, Pyle, Carter said, his voice deadly calm and quiet. Let me tell you exactly what I have got planned for you. An hour later, the blistering California sun was beating down on the dusty perimeter of the base. In the center of a wide dirt lot, there was a large pile of sand. Beside it stood Private Gomer-Pyle, armed with a shovel, sweat pouring down his face as he scooped heavy mounds of sand and tossed them 5 feet to his left, slowly creating a second pile. He was humming quietly to himself, finding a strange peace in the repetitive labor, when he heard the crunch of sensible shoes on the gravel. Aunt B, Gomer called out, stopping his work and leaning on the shovel. What are you doing out here? Well, I got so worried when you did not turn up in the recreation room, she panted, fanning her face with her hand. I thought I would come back and see if everything is all right. That Sergeant Carter seemed so terribly annoyed with you earlier. Oh, it really was not much, Gomer smiled, wiping the sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand. He just gave me some extra details to do. And just as soon as I get finished with this, then we can go have our visit and get some dinner. Oh, good. She smiled, relieved. Well, what exactly do you have to do? Well, for one thing, Gomer explained, gesture with the shovel, I got to move the sand pile here, over there to that spot. Oh. Aunt B nodded, trying to find the logic in military landscaping. Then what? Well, then I have got to move the sand pile there, back over here to where it started. Gomer said matter-of-factly. Aunt B stared at him, her mouth slightly open. You mean move it back where it came from? Yes, ma'am, Gomer confirmed cheerfully. Oh, goodness, she breathed. Well, Why in the world do you have to do that? It makes absolutely no sense. Because Sergeant Carter said so, Gomer replied, as if that were the most logical explanation in the universe. Oh, Gomer. Aunt B.A.'s voice trembled with sudden realization. You are being punished. She dropped her purse and rushed forward, her face etched with guilt. Oh, it was because of me, was not it? It was because I was in the barracks trying to clean those windows. Oh, no. Aunt B, it was not your fault at all, Gomer insisted, stepping back so she would not get dust on her dress. I should have known better. Gomer, why? She cried, wringing her hands together. Oh, Gomer, I am so deeply sorry. This is awful. Before Gomer could comfort her, a dark shadow fell over them. Sergeant Carter had marched across the dirt lot, his face set in a stony glare. Miss Taylor, Carter barked, startling them both. You are not supposed to talk to the men when they are on a punishment detail. I came back to apologize to him, she countered bravely, lifting her chin to face the imposing sergeant. You see, Madam, Carter interrupted coldly, the men would never get their necessary work finished if they have civilians constantly talking to them and interrupting their discipline. I know, but she tried to argue. Look, Carter said, taking a step forward and using his body to physically block her path to Gomer. Why do you not let me show you a shortcut to the front gate? Now, you just go right down this dirt road right here, and it will run right out to the main street of town, where you can get yourself a bus back to your hotel. I am absolutely sure you do want to take a bus, do you not? He placed a firm, insistent hand on her shoulder and physically turned her away from Gomer, giving her a slight, unyielding push down the dusty road toward the exit. Thank you very much, Ampy snapped, shaking off his hand with immense dignity. She gave Carter a look that would have withered a lesser man, turned on her heel, and marched furiously down the road, her floral purse swinging aggressively at her side. Carter stood with his hands on his hips, watching her go until she was a small speck in the distance. He then turned back to Gomer, who had resumed shoveling. Keep digging, Pyle, Carter growled. The next afternoon, the bustling town just outside Camp Henderson was alive with the hum of traffic and commerce. In a small glass-fronted broadcasting booth overlooking the main street, the red-on-air sign glowed brightly. I am sure our listeners were fascinated by your beautiful stories of your son, Mickey the smooth, baritone voice of the radio host crooned into a large silver microphone. The host, Johnny Clark, was a local celebrity, known for his polished hair, his tailored suits, and his daily program, The Johnny Clark at Large Show. This afternoon, he was broadcasting live from a mobile unit set up just outside the gates of Camp Henderson. This is the Johnny Clark at Large Show. He continued smoothly, talking to you from outside of the main gate of Camp Henderson, where we have been interviewing the friends and relatives of the brave men stationed inside. Johnny Clark paused, his eyes catching sight of a familiar, determined-looking woman marching purposefully past the broadcasting booth. Excuse me, madam. Excuse me, he called out, leaning out the window. Would you mind talking to us for a moment on the radio? Ampy stopped and looked at the microphone. What? She asked, stepping closer. Tell me, madam. Johnny Clark smiled his most charming smile. How did you enjoy your visit to Camp Henderson today? Ampy leaned into microphone, her eyes flashing with righteous indignation. Well, not very much. I can tell you that right now. Oh, Johnny Clark raised a manicured eyebrow, sensing a good story. I have never been so profoundly shocked and surprised in all my long life, Ampy declared, her voice ringing out clearly over the airwaves. I just came here from North Carolina to visit my friend, and the treatment he receives is abominable. Whoa, 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 just a moment, Johnny Clark chuckled, holding up a hand to pace the interview. You obviously have a great deal to tell us, madam, but first, what is your name? I am Miss B. Taylor, she stated proudly, and I never heard anything like it in all my life. The screaming, the yelling, it was inhuman. Whoa, 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 wait a minute, Johnny Clark